The Charity Galetta crystal chandeliers cast dancing shadows across the marble floor of the Grand Regency Hotel ballroom. Sophia Chen adjusted her simple black dress and took a deep breath, feeling completely out of place among the sea of designer gowns and tailored tuxedos. As an environmental lawyer working for a small nonprofit, charity galas were not her usual scene. But her organization desperately needed funding for their latest clean water initiative. "Stop fidgeting," Riley Parker whispered, nudging her friend's elbow. "You look stunning, and your presentation about the water crisis was brilliant." Sophia managed a small smile, grateful for Riley's support. Her best friend had convinced her to attend tonight's event, knowing that several major donors would be present. The theme was protecting our planet's future, which aligned perfectly with Sophia's passion for environmental justice. The billionaire's entrance across the room. Gabriel Montenegro made his entrance with the quiet confidence of someone accustomed to commanding attention. At 34, he'd built Montenegro Enterprises from a small tech startup into a billion-dollar empire specializing in renewable energy solutions. His dark hair was perfectly styled, and his custom-made tuxedo fit him like a second skin. "Gabriel, the mayor wants to discuss the new solar panel initiative." James Harrison, his business partner, approached with a group of eager politicians trailing behind. Gabriel nodded politely, but found his attention wandering. These events had become routine for him. Shake hands, write checks, make strategic connections, yet tonight felt different. Somehow, though he couldn't pinpoint why, Sophia was making her way to the ladies' room when she collided with someone carrying 2 glasses of champagne. The golden liquid splashed across her dress, and she looked up to find herself staring into the most intense green eyes she had ever seen. "I am so sorry," Gabriel said, immediately setting down the remaining glass and reaching for his pocket square. "Let me help you with that." "It's fine, really," Sophia protested. But Gabriel was already gently dabbing at the champagne stains on her dress. The simple touch sent an unexpected jolt through her system. "I'm Gabriel," he said, his voice warm and genuinely apologetic. "Sophia," she replied, surprised by how natural it felt to say her name to this stranger. What started as an apology turned into an hour-long conversation by the hotel's floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. Gabriel found himself captivated by Sophia's passion for environmental causes and her genuine desire to make the world better. Unlike the socialites who usually surrounded him at these events, Sophia spoke with intelligence and sincerity that cut through all pretense. "So you actually swim with sharks to study ocean pollution?" Gabriel said, leaning against the window frame. "That's either incredibly brave or completely insane." Sophia laughed, a sound that made Gabriel's chest tighten. "In an unfamiliar way? Maybe a little of both. But someone has to document what we're doing to our oceans. The coral reefs are dying, and most people don't even realize it." Gabriel had attended hundreds of charity events, written countless checks, but he had never met someone who lived and breathed their cause the way Sophia did. Her eyes lit up when she talked about clean water projects in developing countries, and her hands moved expressively as she described the legal battles she fought against corporations polluting local communities. As the evening wound down, Gabriel found himself reluctant to let Sophia disappear back into the crowd. "Would you like to continue this conversation somewhere quieter?" he asked, his usual confidence wavering slightly. "There's a rooftop garden upstairs that has an incredible view of the city." Sophia hesitated. Every rational part of her brain screamed that this was a bad idea. Gabriel Montenegro was way out of her league, a billionaire who could buy and sell her entire organization without thinking twice. But something about the way he looked at her, really looked at her, made her feel seen in a way she hadn't experienced before. "Just for a few minutes," she agreed, ignoring Riley's raised eyebrows from across the room. The hotel's rooftop garden was a hidden oasis. 30 floors above the bustling city, string lights twinkled between flowering vines, and the scent of jasmine filled the warm evening air. The sounds of traffic below seemed muted and distant, creating an intimate bubble that felt removed from the real world. "This is beautiful," Sophia breathed. Walking to the edge where the city stretched out endlessly before them, Gabriel watched her profile in the soft light, noting how the breeze caught strands of her dark hair. "I come here sometimes when I need to think. It helps put things in perspective." They settled onto a bench surrounded by climbing roses, and their conversation flowed effortlessly. Gabriel shared stories about building his company from nothing, working 18-hour days in a garage while eating ramen noodles for dinner? Sophia told him about growing up in a small town where the local factory poisoned the drinking water, inspiring her to become an environmental lawyer. As midnight approached, the air between them grew thick with unspoken tension. Gabriel found himself studying the curve of Sophia's lips as she talked, while she couldn't stop noticing how his eyes crinkled when he smiled. The attraction that had been simmering all evening finally reached a breaking point. "I should go," Sophia said softly. Though she made no move to leave. "Should you?" Gabriel asked, moving closer until she could feel the warmth radiating from his body. The first kiss was tentative, a question more than a statement.
Oh.
But when Sophia responded by threading her fingers through his hair, Gabriel deepened the kiss with a passion that surprised them both. All the careful barriers they had built around their hearts seemed to crumble in that moment. What happened next felt inevitable, as though the universe had been orchestrating their meeting all along. Gabriel's penthouse suite was only a few floors away, and they moved through the elegant rooms in a haze of desire and connection that transcended the physical. Sophia had never been the type for one-night stands, but Gabriel made her feel bold and beautiful in ways she had never experienced. He worshipped her body with a reverence that brought tears to her eyes, and when they finally came together, felt like coming home. They talked until dawn, sharing dreams and fears with the honesty that only comes in the dark hours before sunrise. Gabriel confessed that despite his success, he often felt isolated and wondered if anyone could love him for who he truly was, rather than what he could provide. Sophia admitted that she sometimes felt like she was fighting a losing battle against corporate greed and environmental destruction. When Sophia woke up, golden sunlight was streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Gabriel's penthouse. For a moment, she lay still, savoring the feeling of his arm around her waist and the steady rhythm of his breathing. But as consciousness fully returned, so did reality. Gabriel Montenegro was a billionaire who dated supermodels and socialites. She was a struggling lawyer who lived in a studio apartment and took the bus to work. Last night had been magical, but it belonged to a fantasy world that couldn't survive in daylight. Carefully, she slipped out of bed and gathered her clothes, dressing silently in the living room. She found a piece of paper and wrote a simple note: "Thank you for a beautiful evening. Please don't try to find me." She left it on the kitchen counter next to his car keys. Gabriel woke to an empty bed and a sinking feeling in his chest. He found Sophia's note and crumpled it in his fist, frustrated by her assumption that last night had meant nothing to him. He had felt something real with her, something he had never experienced with any other woman. "Oh, James," he called his business partner immediately. "I need you to find someone for me." But Sophia Chen had covered her tracks well. She had given Gabriel only her first name, and in a city of millions. Finding one environmental lawyer who didn't want to be found proved nearly impossible. Back in her studio apartment, Sophia tried to convince herself that she had made the right choice. She threw herself into her work with renewed vigor, taking on extra cases and staying late at the office. Riley noticed the change but didn't push when Sophia deflected questions about the charity gala. Meanwhile, Gabriel found himself distracted. At board meetings, his mind wandering to memories of dark hair and passionate kisses. He had dated dozens of women, but none had left such an indelible mark on his soul. For the first time in his adult life, Gabriel Montenegro had found something money couldn't buy. Neither of them knew that their one night together had created something that would soon change both their lives forever. As Sophia worked late into the night, fighting for cleaner air and water, and Gabriel expanded his renewable energy empire, a secret grew within her that would soon force them back into each other's orbit. The memory of their connection would sustain them, both through the lonely weeks ahead, but it would also be the catalyst for a revelation that neither of them saw coming. 3 months had passed since the charity gala, and Sophia Chen found herself staring at a pregnancy test in the cramped bathroom of her law office. The 2 pink lines seemed to mock her as she gripped the sink, her knuckles white with tension. Her period had been late before due to stress, but the persistent nausea and exhaustion had finally forced her to face the possibility she had been desperately avoiding. "This cannot be happening," she whispered to her reflection, noting how pale. She looked under the harsh fluorescent lights. Dr. Amanda Foster's office confirmed what Sophia already knew in her heart. The blood test was positive, and based on her last period, she was approximately 12 weeks pregnant. The baby had been conceived on that magical night with Gabriel Montenegro, a night that now felt like it belonged to someone else's life. "Father," Dr. Foster asked gently, noting Sophia's distressed expression, "will he be supportive?" Sophia almost laughed at the absurdity of the question. How could she explain that the father was one of the most powerful men in the country, someone she had spent exactly one night with, and who had no idea she even existed beyond a first name? Gabriel's obsession, meanwhile, Gabriel Montenegro, had become a man possessed. His penthouse office overlooked the city where Sophia lived and worked, but she might as well have been on another planet. James Harrison watched with growing concern. As his business partner's productivity declined and his mood darkened, "You need to let this go," James said during a board meeting where Gabriel had been unusually distracted. "It was one night 3 months ago. She obviously doesn't want to be found." Gabriel's jaw tightened. "You don't understand? What we had was real." Linda Walsh, Gabriel's efficient assistant, had quietly compiled a list of every Sophia who had attended the charity gala, but none matched the woman who had captured her boss's heart. The environmental lawyer seemed to have vanished without a trace, leaving only memories of jasmine perfume and passionate whispers. The journalists. Discovery Nathan Cross had built his career on exposing the secrets of the wealthy and powerful. As an investigative journalist for the city's largest newspaper, he had developed a network of sources that stretched from hotel staff to high society insiders. When he heard whispers about Gabriel Montenegro's mysterious obsession with finding a woman, his reporter instincts kicked into high gear. The breakthrough came from an unlikely source. A hotel cleaning staff member remembered seeing a woman leave Gabriel's penthouse early that morning. Security footage from the lobby provided a clear image of Sophia Chen. From there was a matter of cross-referencing charity gala attendees. With environmental organizations in the city, Nathan smiled as he pulled up Sophia's employment records at Green Justice Legal Aid. This story had everything: a billionaire CEO, struggling lawyer, and what appeared to be a secret romance. But as he dug deeper, he discovered something even more explosive. Elena's intervention. Elena Montenegro had always been protective of her older brother. At 28, she served as the charitable foundation director for Montenegro Enterprises, and had watched Gabriel's relationships with increasing concern over the years. The women he dated were usually beautiful, but vapid, more interested in his bank account than his heart. "You're miserable," she told Gabriel during their weekly lunch. At his penthouse, "Frankly, you're becoming insufferable to work with." Gabriel pushed his salad around his plate, having lost his appetite weeks ago. "I can't explain it, Alina. She was different. When I was with her, I felt like myself for the first time in years." Alina studied her brother's haggard appearance. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, and he had lost weight he couldn't afford to lose. "Then find her properly. Hire a private investigator instead of relying on James's amateur detective work." The threat emerged as Sophia was reviewing case files when her phone rang. The voice on the other end was smooth and confident, with an undertone that made her skin crawl. "Miss Chen, this is Nathan Cross, from the Metropolitan Herald. I'd like to discuss your relationship with Gabriel Montenegro." Sophia's blood turned to ice. "I don't know what you're talking about." Nathan chuckled. "I have security footage of you leaving his penthouse at 6 in the morning 3 months ago. I also have sources who can place you together at the charity gala. And we can do this the easy way or the hard way." The line went dead, leaving Sophia staring at her phone in horror. Her secret was out. She had no idea what Nathan Cross planned to do with the information. The private investigator, Lena, had convinced Gabriel to hire Marcus Reed, one of the city's most discreet private investigators, within 48 hours. Marcus had located Sophia Chen and compiled a comprehensive file on her background. Gabriel read through the information with growing admiration and guilt. Sophia worked for a legal aid organization that barely paid her enough to cover rent. She had graduated summa cum laude from law school, but had chosen public service over corporate law. Her clients were predominantly low-income families, fighting environmental injustices. She had won several high-profile cases against major corporations. "She's impressive," Marcus noted, watching Gabriel's expression soften as he read. "Clean background, no criminal history, universally respected by her colleagues." Gabriel closed the file, his decision made. "I want to see her." Was leaving her office building when she spotted the familiar figure leaning against a black sedan. Gabriel looked exactly as she remembered him. devastatingly handsome in his tailored suit, but there was something different in his eyes. For once there had been confidence, now there was uncertainty, and something that looked almost like pain. "Hello, Sophia," he said softly. Pushing off from the car, her heart hammered against her ribs as she clutched her briefcase tighter. "Gabriel, how did you find me? Does it matter?" He stepped closer, and she caught the familiar scent of his cologne. "We need to talk." Sophia glanced around nervously, aware that they were standing on a busy street where anyone could see them together. "I don't think that's a good idea." Gabriel's expression hardened slightly. "A journalist named Nathan Cross contacted my office today. He claims to have a story about us. I think you might want to hear what he's planning." The coffee shop revelation. They sat in a small coffee shop several blocks from Sophia's office. It's the kind of place where Gabriel Montenegro would never normally be found. He looked oddly out of place among the mismatched furniture and local art, but he seemed oblivious to the curious stares from other patrons. "Nathan Cross called me too," Sophia admitted, wrapping her hands around her coffee cup for warmth. "He wants to write a story about our night together." Gabriel leaned forward intently. "What exactly did he say? He has security footage of me leaving your penthouse? He's threatening to publish it unless I give him an exclusive interview?" Sophia's voice was barely above a whisper. "Gabriel, this could destroy both our careers." For Gabriel, the threat was manageable. He had weathered media storms before and emerged unscathed. But for Sophia, who worked with conservative legal aid organizations and fought for credibility in courtrooms, scandal involving a billionaire could be devastating. "Gotta handle Nathan Cross," Gabriel said firmly. "Oh, my legal team deals with journalists like him all the time." Sophia shook her head. "You don't understand. My clients trust me to be their advocate. They think I'm involved with corporate interests. I lose everything I've worked for." The secret burden. Gabriel studied Sophia's face, noting the shadows under her eyes and the way she seemed to be carrying a heavy burden. "There's something else, isn't there?" Sophia felt the weight of her secret pressing against her chest like a physical force. Every day for the past month, she had rehearsed telling Gabriel about the pregnancy, but the words never came. How could she drop such life-changing news on someone who was essentially a stranger? "I can't do this," she said, suddenly standing up from the table. "I can't be part of your world, Gabriel. We're too different." Gabriel reached out and caught her wrist gently. "Don't run away again, please." The simple touch sent electricity through Sophia's system, reminding her of how perfectly they had fit together that night. She also felt the flutter of movement in her belly, the growing reminder of the secret she carried. The media storm begins. Nathan Cross's story broke 2 days later with the headline, "Billionaire's Secret Romance, Gabriel Montenegro's Mystery Woman Revealed." The article was accompanied by the security footage of Sophia leaving, Gabriel's building, and speculation about their relationship. Sophia arrived at work to find reporters camped outside Green Justice Legal Aid. Her phone buzzed constantly with calls from journalists wanting statements, and her email inbox was flooded with interview requests. Riley found her hiding in the supply closet, tears streaming down her face. "This is exactly what I was afraid of," Sophia sobbed. "My reputation is ruined." Riley pulled her friend into a fierce hug. "We'll figure this out, but Sophia, there's something you need to tell me. You've been acting strange for weeks. And now, with all this stress about Gabriel Montenegro, is there something else going on?" Under Riley's gentle but persistent questioning, Sophia finally broke down and revealed the truth about her pregnancy. Riley's eyes widened in shock, then immediately filled with protective anger. "He has a right to know," Riley said firmly. "More importantly, you have a right to his support." Sophia wiped her eyes with a tissue. "How can I tell him now? They'll think I'm trying to trap him or get money from him. Timing's terrible." "The timing is never perfect for something like this," Riley replied, "but keeping it secret won't make it go away." Gabriel's legal team worked quickly to limit the damage from Nathan Cross's story. Within hours, they had issued cease and desist orders and threatened to sue for invasion of privacy. But Gabriel's mind wasn't on damage control. It was on Sophia and the pain he had seen in her eyes. Alina found him in his office at midnight, staring out at the city lights. "The story will blow over," she assured him. "It always does." Gabriel turned to face his sister. "I think I'm in love with her." Elena's eyebrows rose. "Based on one night? It's based on the fact that I can't stop thinking about her? It's based on how she made me feel like a better person just by being near her?" Gabriel ran his hands through his hair. I've dated dozens of women, Alina, but none of them ever challenged me or inspired me the way Sophia does. Then fight for her, Alina said simply. She's worth having, she's worth fighting for. The stress of the media attention and her secret pregnancy took its toll on Sophia's health. She collapsed at work during a client meeting and was rushed to the hospital. Dr. Amanda Foster's examination revealed that both mother and baby were fine, but she prescribed bed rest and stress reduction. You can't keep carrying this burden alone, Dr. Foster said gently. The father needs to know, especially if he can provide emotional and financial support. Sophia lay in the hospital bed, one hand resting on her still small bump. The baby had become real to her over the past few weeks, and the thought of facing motherhood alone terrified her. But the thought of Gabriel's reaction terrified her even more. Riley sat beside the bed, holding Sophia's free hand. I called him. You what? Sophia tried to sit up, but Riley gently pushed her back down. He deserves to know you're in the hospital, even if you haven't told him why. He's in the waiting room right now, pacing like a caged tiger. Gabriel entered Sophia's hospital room like a man walking to his execution. His usually perfect appearance was disheveled, his tie askew and his hair mussed from running his hands. Through it, the sight of Sophia, looking small and pale in the hospital bed, made his chest tighten with an emotion he couldn't name. Are you all right? He asked, his voice rough with concern. Sophia nodded, unable to trust her voice. Gabriel looked like he hadn't slept in days, and there was something vulnerable in his expression that made her heart ache. The stress from the media attention she finally managed. It got to be too much. Gabriel pulled a chair close to her. Bedin sat down heavily. This is my fault. I should have protected you better, Sophia said softly, knowing that this moment would change everything between them. There's something I need to tell you. The words hung in the air between them like a bridge neither could cross. Sophia's heart hammered as she watched Gabriel's face, searching for any sign of his reaction. His green eyes, usually so confident and controlled, showed a mixture of shock, confusion, and something that might have been hope. Pregnant, he repeated, slowly, as if testing the word. How far along? Almost 4 months, Sophia whispered, her hand instinctively moving to her small bump. I found out 6 weeks ago. Gabriel stood up abruptly and walked to the window, his broad shoulders tense beneath his expensive suit. The silence stretched between them until Sophia began to fear the worst. When he finally turned back to face her, his expression was unreadable. Why didn't you tell me sooner? The question wasn't accusatory, but Sophia heard the hurt underneath. I was scared. We barely know each other, Gabriel. One night doesn't make us anything, and I didn't want you to think I was trying to trap you. Gabriel returned to his chair and reached for her hand, his touch gentle but firm. Look at me, Sophia. When she met his eyes, he continued. That night meant everything to me. I've been searching for you for months because I couldn't get you out of my head. Telling me we created a life together. Thomas Chen's arrival before Sophia could respond. The hospital room door opened to reveal Thomas Chen, Sophia's father. At 62, he was a distinguished professor of environmental science with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He took in the scene before him with the sharp intellect that had made him a respected academic. Dad, Sophia said weakly, I can explain. Thomas's gaze moved from his daughter to Gabriel, recognition dawning on his features. Gabriel Montenegro. I've read about your renewable energy initiatives. Gabriel stood and extended his hand. Professor Chen, I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. Thomas shook the offered hand, his expression thoughtful. Indeed. Sophia, we need to talk. Family tensions, the conversation that followed was awkward and painful. Thomas Chen had raised his daughter to be independent and strong, and the news of her pregnancy by a man she barely knew challenged his understanding of the woman he had raised. Gabriel, meanwhile, found himself under scrutiny from a man whose approval suddenly mattered more than any board of directors. What are your intentions regarding my daughter and grandchild? Thomas asked directly, his academic demeanor giving way to protective father mode. Gabriel met the older man's gaze steadily. I intend to be part of this child's life, Professor Chen. As for Sophia, I hope she'll give me the chance to prove that what we have is worth exploring. Sophia watched the exchange with growing anxiety. The two most important men in her life were circling each other like wary animals. She felt caught in the middle. Margaret Montenegro's intervention news of Gabriel's situation reached his family. Through Alina, who had connected the dots when she learned about Sophia's hospitalization, Margaret Montenegro arrived at the hospital with the regal bearing that had made her a formidable presence in high society for 3 decades. At 58, Margaret was still a beautiful woman, though her beauty was now enhanced by silver hair, and the confidence that came with age and power. She swept into Sophia's hospital room like a queen entering her court, her designer handbag clutched in perfectly manicured hands. "So," she said without preamble, "you're the young woman who has captured my son's attention." Sophia felt intimidated by Margaret's presence, but she lifted her chin defiantly. "Mrs. Montenegro, Margaret, please." The older woman's expression softened slightly as she took in Sophia's pale complexion and defensive posture. "Alina tells me you're expecting Gabriel's child." The statement hung in the air like a challenge. Gabriel stepped protectively closer to Sophia's bed. "Mother, we're still processing everything." Margaret waved a dismissive hand. "Processing is for business deals, Gabriel. This is family." She turned back to Sophia. "What are your expectations, my dear?" The detectives warning Detective Ryan Brooks had been investigating a series of threats against prominent business leaders when Gabriel Montenegro's name appeared on his radar. The threats had escalated from anonymous letters to more direct intimidation, and Gabriel's high-profile relationship status made him a target. "Mr. Montenegro," Detective Brooks said during a private meeting in Gabriel's office, "we have reason to believe that someone is targeting you through people close to you. Ms. Chun's recent media exposure may have put her at risk." Gabriel felt his blood run cold. "What kind of risk?" "We've intercepted communications suggesting that your personal life could be used as leverage against your business interests. With Miss Chen's pregnancy, the stakes have increased considerably." The detective's words added a new layer of urgency to an already complex situation. Gabriel realized that protecting Sophia and their unborn child had become about more than just personal responsibility. The specialist consultation Dr. Sarah Mitchell was one of the city's most respected maternal fetal medicine specialists. Gabriel had insisted on bringing her in to ensure that both Sophia and the baby received the best possible care. The appointment revealed that despite the stress-induced hospitalization, both mother and child were healthy. "The baby's heartbeat is strong," Dr. Mitchell said, moving the ultrasound wand across Sophia's belly. "And based on the measurements, I'd say you're having a little girl," Sophia gasped, tears springing to her eyes as she stared at the grainy image on the screen. Gabriel reached for her hand, his own eyes suspiciously bright as he saw his daughter for the first time. "A girl," he whispered, wonder evident in his voice. The ultrasound image made everything real in a way that words couldn't. This wasn't just a pregnancy anymore. It was their daughter, a person who would depend on both of them for love and protection. Alina Montenegro proved to be an unexpected ally in managing the media circus surrounding Gabriel and Sophia's relationship. As the foundation director, she had experience dealing with press coverage and understood the importance of controlling the narrative. "We need to get ahead of this story," Alina told them during a strategy meeting in Gabriel's penthouse. "Right now, the media is painting Sophia as a gold digger and you as a playboy. We need to show them the truth." The plan Alina proposed was simple but effective. A carefully orchestrated public appearance that would present Gabriel and Sophia as a committed couple expecting their first child. It would require Sophia to step fully into Gabriel's world, something she had been avoiding. "I don't know if I can do this," Sophia admitted. Looking overwhelmed by the prospect of facing the media attention, Gabriel took her hand. "You won't be doing it alone. We're a team now." The public declaration, the press conference, was held at Montenegro Enterprises headquarters, with Gabriel and Sophia presenting a united front to the assembled reporters. Sophia wore a simple but elegant maternity dress that Gabriel had chosen. And despite her nerves, she projected quiet dignity as the cameras flashed. "Sophia and I are expecting our first child together," Gabriel announced, his arm protectively around her waist. "While our relationship began privately, we're excited to share this news with the public and look forward to building our family together." The questions that followed were predictably invasive, but Gabriel deflected the worst of them with practiced ease. When one reporter asked about Sophia's background and whether their different social statuses would affect their relationship, Gabriel's response was firm and clear. Sophia Chen is one of the most accomplished and dedicated people I've ever met. Her work as an environmental lawyer has made a real difference in countless lives. I'm honored that she's chosen to share her life with me. The threat materializes. The anonymous threats against Gabriel escalated after the press conference.
Ow.
Detective Brooks increased security around both Gabriel and Sophia, but the danger felt real and immediate.
Ow.
The threatening letters mentioned their unborn daughter specifically, making it clear that whoever was behind them had been following the news closely. We think it might be connected to one of your recent business acquisitions, Detective Brooks explained during a security briefing. Montenegro Enterprises' expansion into renewable energy has displaced some traditional energy companies. Someone might be trying to use personal leverage to influence your business decisions. Gabriel felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. His success had painted a target on his back, and now that target extended to Sophia and their child, the proposal 6 months into Sophia's pregnancy. Gabriel made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. He had never believed in marriage, viewing it as a business contract rather than a romantic institution. But watching Sophia grow round with their child, seeing her strength and grace under pressure, had changed his perspective on everything. The proposal wasn't grand or public. Instead, Gabriel chose the rooftop garden where they had first kissed, transforming it into an intimate setting with candles and flowers. Sophia arrived thinking they were meeting for dinner, only to find Gabriel waiting with a ring that took her breath away. "I know this isn't traditional," Gabriel said, dropping to one knee. "We've done everything backwards, and our relationship has been complicated from the start. But I love you, Sophia. I love your passion, your integrity, your refusal to be impressed by money or status. I love how you challenge me to be better than I am." Sophia stared down at him, tears streaming down her face. The ring was beautiful, but not ostentatious, clearly chosen with thought and care, rather than to impress. "I love you too," she whispered. "But Gabriel, your world and mine are so different." "Then we'll build a new world together," he replied. "One where our daughter can grow up knowing that love matters more than money, that integrity matters more than influence." The wedding took place 2 months later in a private ceremony at the Montenegro family estate. Despite Margaret Montenegro's initial suggestions for a grand affair, Sophia had insisted on something small and meaningful. The guest list included only close family and friends, and the ceremony was held in the estate's garden, with Alina serving as Sophia's maid of honor. Thomas Chen walked his daughter down the aisle with tears in his eyes, having grown to respect Gabriel's genuine love for Sophia and his commitment to being a good father. Margaret Montenegro had also warmed to her new daughter-in-law. Mixed by Sophia's refusal to be intimidated by wealth or status, the vows they exchanged were personal and heartfelt, acknowledging the unusual circumstances that had brought them together while promising to build a future based on love and mutual respect. The birth Isabella Rose Montenegro was born on a snowy December morning, arriving 3 weeks early, but perfectly healthy. Gabriel was in the delivery room, holding Sophia's hand and whispering encouragement as she brought their daughter into the world. The moment the doctor placed Isabella in Sophia's arms, both parents were overwhelmed by a love more intense than anything they had ever experienced. The tiny baby opened her eyes and seemed to look directly at her father, and Gabriel felt his heart completely rewrite itself around this new little person. "She's perfect," Sophia whispered, exhausted but radiant. Gabriel kissed his wife's forehead, then gently touched his daughter's tiny hand. "She's everything." The new beginning 1 year later. The Montenegro family had settled into a rhythm that balanced Gabriel's business responsibilities with Sophia's continued work in environmental law. Gabriel had established a foundation focused on environmental justice, with Sophia serving as its legal director. The work allowed her to continue her passion, while also having the resources to make a much larger impact. Isabella was a happy, healthy baby who had brought joy not just to her parents, but to the entire extended family. Margaret Montenegro doted on her granddaughter, while Thomas Chen enjoyed introducing Isabella to the wonders of nature during frequent visits. The threats against the family had been traced to a disgruntled former business partner who is now serving time in federal prison. Detective Brooks had become a family friend, often stopping by to check on Isabella's progress. The full circle, on the second anniversary of the charity gala, where they had first met. Gabriel and Sophia returned to the Grand Regency Hotel for a quiet dinner. Sophia wore the same black dress she had worn that first night, though it now required some alterations to accommodate her post-pregnancy figure. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we hadn't met that night?" Sophia asked as they sat. By the same windows where they had first talked, Gabriel reached across the table and took her hand, his wedding ring glinting in the candlelight. "Every day. But then I remember that some things are meant to be." They had built something beautiful from one unexpected night together. Their love story hadn't followed any traditional script, but it had led them to a happiness neither had thought possible. Isabella was sleeping peacefully in her nursery at home, watched over by her grandmother Margaret. And tomorrow, they would return to their work of making the world better for their daughter's generation. As they left the hotel that night, Sophia reflected on how much her life had changed. The scared, lonely woman who had slipped out of Gabriel's penthouse before dawn was gone, replaced by someone who had learned that love could indeed conquer the vast differences between two worlds. Their daughter would grow up knowing that her parents' love story had begun with a single night, but had grown into something that would last forever. Gabriel. Montenegro had indeed learned a secret that could have destroyed him, but instead, it had saved him, giving him a family and a love that meant more than all his billions combined. The end.